Hello, everyone. My name is Tomilola Olatunde. I'm a stay-at-home mom and homeschooling mom. I have two kids, 7 and 2 years old. When my son clocked 1 years old and was looking for school around my area in Lagos, one of the issues that we encountered was that we did not find a suitable school around my area, right? And the issue one thing I knew for sure that I knew that I wasn't going to do was be waking up a 1 year old every morning to go by 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. because we wanted to go to a school. Are there good schools around Lagos? Yes, they are. But wherever you are located also matters if you're not in proximity of a good school, right? So I didn't find when I was satisfied with around my area here in Lagos. So I decided that I was still going to hold him back at home for a while. And in speaking to my husband, he was telling me that, oh, do you know that there's something called homeschooling? That he has like an older auntie that homeschooled her 5 kids in Lagos. I was like, oh, wow, she did. So he told me about it and asked if I wanted to speak to her, but I didn't have the opportunity to speak to her at the time. But I started researching, and when I started researching, initially my plan was that at least I will homeschool him till he's 5 years old, where we are also more comfortable with sending him out into the world, right? So in starting out my homeschooling journey, I fell in love with it. Now he's 7 and we are still going strong. So that's what birthed the idea of homeschooling in the first place. I study computer science, and no, I don't have any educational background. Basically, I tell people that if you're deciding to homeschool, all you need is love for your child. And the love that you have for your child will propel you to do the research that you need to do. I mean, when you become a parent, nobody tells you this is exactly how to go about being a parent, except you have, amazing friends that have gone the journey ahead of you, right? But if it's love that will make you find out what exactly you need for this parenting journey. It's the same thing with homeschooling as well, because every knowledge is acquirable. You can acquire whatever knowledge it is. And what helped me again in the early phase was that I wondered and I thought to myself, what exactly is a 1 year old supposed to learn that I cannot teach him, right? So that was at the back of my mind somewhere. So I was like, okay, I am equal to this task. I'm equal to this task. And as we are progressing in the journey, and of course things are getting a little more difficult, I still research, I still find out things. And again, homeschooling doesn't mean that you are the only one that has to, be involved in the teaching. You are just in charge of your education, and you can always bring people into your home to help you out on the journey. So those are the things that, even though I don't have an education background, I've done a lot of trainings, I've done a lot of research, and I've also leaned on the expertise of other people. Cuddle blog started after I had my first son. And when I started the journey, I used to be a blogger. Well, I've always been a blogger. I had a Christian blog at the time that I was doing, and this was a new phase of my life. It did not, what I was experiencing could not fit into the current blog that I was doing, right? So I was experiencing new things. I didn't really know who to talk to. So I started sharing my journey online, and that was what birthed the homes, and that was what birthed the Cuddle blog. So it's just from my experience. I'm wanting to share my experience and to find more people to make sure that I know that I am not alone on this journey, and that was what birthed the community. After so much trials, we have launched our community late last year to this year, and we have a growing community of like 50 people right now on our virtual platform. We have about 50 people, and then we have people that come in for our meetups, maybe about 20 that are really regular. That's like 20 parents and about 25 kids or 30 kids sometimes, when we do our hangouts. So we try to create a space for homeschoolers twice a month, for us to either do a field trip or to do activities, learning activities together, and then just to ensure that we know that you have someone, you're not alone on the journey. And I think community is important, because when we come together, we can talk about, okay, what are you doing? What are you not doing? And we have resources within the community. There are people that probably have been educators before that can also handhold somebody else that is just starting out if they have questions and things like that. So the community has been of great help. We started, like I said, like I mentioned, we started late last year actively, and it's been a beautiful one. I mean, so we're going to have another meetup again this month, two this month as well. And yeah, for the Cuddle Blog community, it's just basically where I share my journey. And in sharing my journey is how I've been able to meet all these amazing people. Because in sharing my journey, people have been inspired, or people that have been homeschooling before have been like, oh, there's somebody homeschooling here as well. And then we could join forces on, So I share my journey. I talk about how I do what I do, because another thing is information for our community, our context in Africa, our context in Lagos, in Nigeria, is not, the information out there is not a lot. So in deciding actively to share that journey, to also talk about exactly what I am doing, not telling you that this is what you should do, but at least it will help someone that is just starting out to say, this is how I can charter my path, and this can help me in my own journey. And then it can inspire you, and as you go along with whatever it is you're doing, by the time you get your footing, you can now start deciding, oh, this is, it's just like an artist that starts painting. He will start with all the rules first, but by the time he gets to a level, he will now start breaking the rules in a way that is still aesthetically pleasing, right? So that's what I am here for. Like my community, the Cuddle Blog, that's what it's there for, to help you start out and like gain your footing. Then you can now, do whatever you want in your homeschool. In my journey as a homeschooler, of course, yes, there are many times that you doubt yourself. I've doubted myself a lot of times. I have thought about the fact that, oh, is it going to measure up with his peers? I've thought about the fact that, am I doing too much, or am I doing enough, right? But you have to realize that it goes with anything in life, right? Whatever it is you're doing, you're in a job, you're doing something, you have those doubts, you have those fears about that particular thing. So, but it is what you now decide to do and what you decide to stick with, right? And, the beauty about it is that if the worst comes to the worst, right, at the back of your mind that you also have an alternative, right? And that's why we're homeschooling, because we're looking at it as an alternative to traditional education. We have a choice. So, and if you get to a point where you've gotten to the height of it for yourself and you feel like, oh, I can't do this anymore, you still have a choice to say, I can go this other route, right? So while, yes, I have my doubts and I try as much as possible within the best of my capacity, again, I'm not alone. I have a community of people. I have a community of people that are homeschooling with me. I have a community of other new homeschoolers, okay, that are also learning from me maybe, and people that I'm also learning from. So I'm not just, one island and just doing things as I see fit, right? Yeah, we're comparing notes, we're seeing what's working, we're seeing what's not working, and then you have the results of the child in front of you, right? And you might not get that when the child is still growing up, but at an age of like 5 years old, 6 years old, you can see the results, right? And when you are seeing the results, and you can also meet other children, and you can compare, you're not comparing, so to speak, but you are seeing that this is still possible, because it's not like, oh, they're missing anything. And even if they're missing something, it is knowing at the back of your mind that at the end of the day, if my child in the future is sitting in front of maybe an employer, the employer is not going to ask him, when did you start writing? When did you start reading? Or how many books did you read? Or do you know your Pythagoras theorem? They are not going to ask those things, right? So knowing that as well also puts your mind at ease, right? Doesn't mean that you're not going to do what you need to do, but you're not, the standards you're measuring on is not going to be the same. In a city like Lagos, the challenges are enormous. The challenges are enormous, and I'm going to say this because I know that it's a community platform and we are all experiencing the same things in this Lagos state, right? Part of the things that we do in my homeschool is that we go out a lot, right? I just relaxed this year, but we do go out a lot. So in our journey, in our 6 7 years journey homeschooling, we have traveled quite a bit. And one of the things that I've seen that's been a huge challenge is traffic. Traffic in this Lagos is a huge challenge, in the sense that we once we want to go out, we have to start thinking through, okay, I need to go out. Before you go, you have started thinking about, even when you think there's an off-peak hour, right? Because you're going out when everybody has gone to school and when everybody has gone to work. But sometimes there's still that challenge of, like, you don't even know where you will miss the traffic. Yeah, that's one huge challenge. And another challenge is not enough public spaces for kids. Not enough public spaces for kids. While there might be spaces like maybe on the mainland, there are some public spaces for kids, but when you come all the way to the island, there maybe is one public space for kids. Right. And when I mean public space, I mean like parks that are owned by the state, or by the state government. Yes. So they're not a lot. And even the parking on the island that is owned by the state government is not equipped for kids, right? So then that's another huge challenge, not having enough places to go. Because another reason why I'm chilling out in going out this year is that, okay, everywhere on the island where I live, I've literally almost gone to everywhere, and there's nowhere new that we can go to. So again, I'm not saying that we'll turn everywhere into a place for kids, but at least having a healthy option and having spaces where you can go, where you don't have to really think too much about, oh, why do I have to go that far to go and have a good evening or afternoon with my child. So those are the challenges when it comes to living in Lagos. Before I got married, like I said, I studied computer science. So I was working for a cloud computing firm, right? We did cloud computing, and I was like a technical support person at the company. So I was on that trajectory when I got married, but I also had a photography hobby at the time. So I did a photography course. I did a photography course at the time. I bought a camera, and then I wanted to learn a lot more. And somebody introduced me to my now husband, right? And that's how we met. And in the course of, so I just felt that if I'd left my job, I was just going to do photography. Yeah, which is what I started doing. I started doing photography with my husband when I got married. I did not see myself on this journey at all, in any shape or form. And it took a lot of getting used to, in the sense that I had to, um, I made the choice, right? I made the choice, but I had to make the conscious choice. And that was not easy, because, again, I still had to kind of, even if I made the choice, I had to mourn what I felt was what I wanted, per se. And but along the line now, I found a way to merge that career with what I'm doing now, in the sense that I still do my photography, but I changed the line of photography that I do, that helps me accommodate homeschooling, and it helps me still do my photography. So I am not doing it at a scale that I probably would have done it if I wasn't homeschooling. Yeah, so I decided to now do product photography, and this product photography it doesn't necessarily mean I have to interface with the clients. So they send me their products. When I have time, I take their pictures, and I then work on the pictures when the kids are asleep, or any days that I have downtime. I work on the pictures. I try to design the company such that there's a lot of time between when I get the products, take the pictures, and deliver the products, so that there's expected time of delivery. So it's not as if we're all fighting at the end of the day. So I try to give that gap. So I designed it such that, you're not supposed to be in the studio with me when I'm shooting. So I can decide to shoot. Maybe if I have time at 5 p.m. in the night, I can quickly go into the studio and go and shoot the products, depending on how many hours it is for. So, and of course, my husband balances me out in that regard, in the sense that if I have to shoot, like on Saturday, I had to shoot, he was home with the kids. I went to the studio, I shot, and then when I got back, you know, he was available. So we try to do that dance as well, to be able to give me room to also do this thing. It's not a big thing. It can be big if I wanted it to be, but I try to keep it small in that sense, just to keep that, thing alive in me again, like I say. Yeah. So I think that's how I try to balance it out now. So I'm still on the path. My path has changed, and I'm loving this path as well, because I then now became this content creator that is helping people out, which is even more fulfilling. It's not as financially rewarding, but it's more fulfilling for me because I get to meet a lot more people. I get to talk to a lot more people. I get to be part of their journey, and that is more fulfilling for me in terms of like having a purpose and having whatever you're doing. But in financially, right, this photography helps me out. So we're balancing each other.
Does it pay well?
What?
The
Product photography. Yeah, it does.
Oh wow.
It pays. It pays, and it can pay a lot more. Where by the time I'm done homeschooling, it will pay a lot more. But yeah, it does pay. It does pay.
Okay, so would you say in a way motherhood steered you on the right course for you?
Yes, I could say that. I could say that yes, motherhood did steer me on that path, because if I did not become a mother, I definitely wouldn't be there. Because I mean, is out of my experience that I'm sharing. And if I'm not a mother, I cannot give what I do not have. So yes, I would say motherhood steered me in this interesting path that I am enjoying and loving. But one thing that motherhood changed for me is freedom. Freedom. This, and I am still, I still struggle with it in the sense that personally, like, I have kids, yes, but I wouldn't call myself somebody that actually loves children as much, right? That I'm very free anytime. I love my children, I love my friends' children, they come to my space and everything, but I won't randomly just see a group of children that I don't know, and I'll just be, that's, yes, I'm not that kind of person, right? So having that solitude and that space to myself sometimes is still a struggle, which is why I cherish the time when my kids have gone to bed. I revel in it. I enjoy it. I could stay a lot more awake than I'm supposed to because of that solitude. But again, that's the only thing. That's the one thing that I still find a little bit. And the funny thing is that even if I have the freedom, I'll still choose to stay at home. Like if I if I was, I would still choose to stay at home. But the fact that I'm choosing to stay at home, it's not as if I wanted to go anywhere or just travel or anything, like, oh, my children are the ones holding me back. No, but I'm like, I'm the one making the choice to stay at home. I'm not at home because of, like, I'm not going out today or thinking 10 times because before I go out because of the kids. But I'm like, I'm choosing to stay at home. Like that freedom, yeah. Even if I was to choose to sit home and not go anywhere. One very important negative perspective people have about stay-at-home moms and homeschooling moms is that they are miserable. I don't know why, and I think maybe it's the generation before us. The generation before us, they've spread this narrative that it is forced down your throat, like, and they're just trying to bring you down. It's reason why they say, "Oh, stay at home with the kids." But one thing I want to change is that while them, I'm not negating the fact that those set of people exist, but we cannot keep generalizing, right? So, for example, if you say people give advice a lot to homeschooling moms and or homeschooling moms, stay-at-home moms, and the first thing they're saying is, "Oh, go and make your money of your own," right? And that's it's a general assumption that you are being put down, you're not making the choice for yourself, you're not you're oh, if anything happens, what happens if something happens to your husband? There are ways around these things, right? And that can, me, especially me being on the other end, receiving end of all this type of advices and things like that, it took a while for me to find my footing. And I'm not saying this, and here that I'm not saying that women should not make their own money, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's a perception that even if you are making the choice, it automatically means you're not making money, or it automatically means that, oh, you're asking for advice on how to make money, or because there are a subset of people that are actually in good marriages, right? And we cannot neglect that fact as well, because there are people that are on the because you get the extreme end of the people, the news, you get the extreme end of the bad news, and you also get the extreme end of the good news. But there's this big pool, just like the big middle class, right? So there's very poor, very, but there's the middle class, and there's still that subset of middle people that have good marriages and are one income household, and they are happy, and they are doing joint accounting. They are not making their wives look bad, or they're not trying to put them down because they made the choice. Again, even if you did not make the choice, but the fact that you had a conversation with your husband, you had a conversation and communicated, he communicated to you maybe that, oh, I think this is what might be best for our family, and you agreed. It's a choice that you still made, right? But because people will just say, because it stemmed from the husband, hell, it's trying to clip your wings, it's trying to this, it's trying to that, whereas you are happy, he sold something to you, you bought it, and you made a choice. So that is one very big narrative that I think that can change, because even as you are staying at home at different times, because people still are, we are human beings, right? And you're an individual, you still have the craving for fulfillment, you still have the craving to do something on your own. But there are still, that's even still a general statement, because there are still people that that's all they just want to do. They just want to be homemakers, they just want to take care of their children, they are satisfied with that. So we can't keep generalizing, and we need to also acknowledge the fact that there are good marriages and good people, and they're good husbands. So if you hear a story about a husband that did something bad to his wife because she was at home, or being a stay-at-home mom or homeschooling mom, then you face the husband, because the husband is a terrible person. You don't face the woman like she did something terrible. She didn't do something bad. She didn't do something terrible by making the choice to be with her kids, to teach her kids, to educate them. She didn't make that bad choice. It's not a bad choice. But the man is the bad one. And so let's also have the narrative of actually talking to the bad husbands, the bad men that are the bad eggs that are perpetrating things like this, right? And I think that's also very important, because it validates the woman, it validates a choice, which is what, feminism is about, having you being a person and making your choice. And I think that's what also feminism holds there, like having the choice. So if I'm making the choice, you that are not deciding to be the bad one and saying something negative to me, or doing something negative to me based off of my choice, you are the bad one, not me, right? And I think that's one of the narratives that we generally need to do, because it trickles down to everything. How you react to a woman when you see her, that she made that choice. If you, at the back of your mind, you know that it's a choice, you're not going to say something negative to her by saying, oh, go and get a job, or you're not going to say something, are you sure, you respect the fact that she's an individual, she made a choice, and this is the path she wants to take, and then you support her in that path. In that way, I would tell people that give like financial advice and all of that, they just keep going on and on. Oh, make your money, make your money. No. But if you respect the woman's choice, the advice you give her is, okay, this is how to make the best of the situation. Because if you're a one income household, this is how I can advise you to take your husband's money, or the money that comes into your family, and this is how you can invest it. Don't say, oh, go make your money, go make your money. You see where there's a disparity, and that simple shift can change how the woman feels and validate her as a person, and still help her in her choice. And that is what, I am all about. Because even at the end of the day, in 4 or 5 years into my own journey, is when I actively started doing this product photography, right? And I started making money. That's 4 or 5 years into. Before then, I've heard a lot of go make money, go make money. But you didn't give me advice on how to manage the one that I have, or seeing it as a hustle. What if your husband dies? Okay, what if your husband dies? This is what you can do to secure yourself. It's different from what if your husband dies? I carry all your sins. That's why you need to make your own money. You have it. So, but there are people that are even in jobs, right? And their husband dies and it changed the trajectory of their lives. So it is not about whether you are, it will definitely still change the trajectory of your life if your spouse dies. So, me as a stay at home mom, you that you're advising me, now tell me, how can I, in this space that I am in, oh, this is how to secure yourself. If you are a one income household, maybe your husband has a business, okay, this is what you can do. Make sure you're this, make sure you're that, make sure you're this. If this is only your husband is an employee as well, this is the money he makes. Okay, you need to create a will that with this and that with this, that, and give you how you can. Oh, ensure that you have passwords to your husband's phone. Ensure that you have this. Do you get, like, that way the lady is going to feel supported. She's going to feel like, oh, nobody is judging me for my choice, right? There are two ways that it's been empowering for me, in looking at it in the spirit of the light of the day and what it embodies, right? Part of the things, one of it is giving me the opportunity to course correct the next generation. In looking at me being in charge of my children's education, and I have two boys, and helping them to understand what inclusion is about, helping them to understand and see things in the light of what we expect that is ideal for a general society, and helping my sons not to see that the oh, boys are better than girls, or there's this particular color that is themed to boys, and all of those things. Changing that narrative in that regard is has been a very one very privileged has been one empowering way that I've seen that has helped my journey. That doesn't make sense. Okay. I've seen that as a very rare privilege to be able to course correct the next generation. I mean, that one boy can be someone that changes the whole generation, right? So that's one on the one hand. And the other hand is my journey in being somebody that is totally different, and also the one time that I was interviewed for an international media, and we're talking about being a stay-at-home mom. And this is not something that you see mainstream, right? It's not something that you see that people want to talk about. They are not always celebrating stay-at-home moms in that right. They are celebrating stay-at-home moms who have made money or who are making money from their home. But it's a step in the right direction if that's what we are starting with, right? I am hoping more for a society or a community where we are celebrating every woman, regardless of her status, regardless of whatever she brings to the table or what she doesn't bring to the table, regardless of any of that. We're respecting women, we are celebrating them for that alone, and we're celebrating them because they're women, not because of exactly maybe what they are doing. Yes, what we're doing is fantastic. I think the strides we're making in our nation, the strides we're making internationally is very, very admirable. But the essence of the day is to celebrate the uniqueness of every person, every woman, and not everybody's journey will be the same. And being a stay-at-home mom who has been on the different sides of the divide and in different seasons of her life, but I was celebrated when it's not as if I was making money, or they looked at me and said, oh, she's making money from home, is why we want to celebrate her. But they wanted to talk about what I was doing as a stay-at-home mom for just being that. And that was one of a very empowering moment for me in the light of what International Women's Day is really, really about. So what's my advice for women who want to homeschool their kids or who want to be stay-at-home moms? First of all, is to understand that either of them are not a walk in the park. They all require a lot of effort, energy, overwhelm. It's overwhelming. It's an overwhelming journey. I mean, you're going to be leaving your 9-to-5 career to come and do this 24/7 job that we are doing, right? And then be dedicated to it. Is to understand that it's not going to be easy, but if it is something that you really want to do, being committed to the process is very, very important. And also I would say that if you are transitioning, it's important that you also put in the financial aspect of it. I'm an advocate for women making money from home. I'm not an advocate for saying that, oh, let yourself just go and be idle and not do anything. No, I'm an advocate for putting priority to what you feel is priority, which you have chosen at this time to be your kids. But you can put that at the top priority, and then the other ones come next. So that can mean that before you find what you want to do as a passion, you can, give yourself a buffer by saving some money, where you can fall back upon when you really do need money. And then as you go along in your journey, you can now pick up something that you're passionate about that you want to do to make money. I don't advise you rush into the process. And you can just do that, but ensure that you try to give yourself a buffer by saving to make sure that you do not feel frustrated financially, right? Again, it's your choice, and you know that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. My final advice to you is, in terms of you as a person, is to keep your foot in the door. And what that means is that whatever it is that you would like to do after, if you have discovered that thing that you want to do after you have dedicated this amount of time of your life to your kids, start building the reputation now. Either by creating a blog, maintaining an online presence. LinkedIn is there, updating your CV from time to time, and keeping up with industry mumbo jumbo, keeping up with industry news. I think that's important, so that when you are now ready to basically launch out, you are not starting from ground zero, right? You would have built for yourself a little platform that you can start from, right? So it doesn't have to be necessary. It doesn't necessarily have to be something huge or big. Like the business I do now, I try to keep it as small as possible. But it's when I want to now start, maybe if I'm done homeschooling my kids, or I'm done like actively being a stay-at-home mom, then I'm not going to be starting from scratch. That's what I mean by keeping your foot in the door. Whatever that would now mean for you, it's important that you do that. So, and I said finally, but this is the last one, trust me. Ensure that you keep up with your friends. You can quickly get lost in this journey, right? You can get there because before you know it, the day has ended, it's the next day, and before you know it, the week has ended, the month has ended, the year has gone, and then you've not actively kept up with your friends, have had more than 5 intelligent conversations that do not revolve around children. You've not had those in a while, so it's important that you do keep up with those, right? And try as much as possible to have fun in the process. Yeah, that would be my advice for you. But if you want more targeted advice for homeschooling your kids, please come and see me somewhere later after this, because that one's lengthy.